Hi, I'm Rick Dior, and today we're going to talk about some coordination exercises using left foot clave. I've gotten lots and lots of questions about this since I published those Afro-Cuban videos for my book about a year ago. So we're going to address this today. A lot of you want to know how you can work on this. In those other videos, I just played the grooves from the book, but today I'll show you how to work on the left foot clave, how I teach it, and how I developed it. So first of all, we'll look at this pedal. It's a little bit weighty, and it's pretty basic. I just have this old cheap pearl pedal on here with a plastic beater today so you could hear it. It's probably going to get annoying after a while. Normally I use a wood beater and it's not so obnoxious sounding. And then I mounted this granite block on this piece of wood. Over the years doing this, what happens is these blocks will come loose. They won't break. I've never broken one. You will break a metal one for sure. Like, if you put any kind of small cowbell on this, a Pete Engelhardt, clave bell, you can break that, and they're expensive. So I recommend not doing that unless you're using a plastic, or rubber beater, something lighter. So anyway, that's what I do, just tighten everything down, and then it stays pretty consistent. And the throw of it is this. So just the tip, or the bottom, I should say, of the beater is hitting the tip of that wood block, that plastic block. Again, you can use a wood block, but that's going to break over a whole gig for sure. So save yourself some money and go ahead and use one of these granite blocks. If you buy a set, there's 5 of them or 6 on there. You could just pick one you like. I have a number of them just like this. And again, I just mounted this on a piece of wood. Hopefully you can see that. We'll go to the other camera here. All right, and I do have a camera here. We'll show you a view of my foot today. Not sure how good the quality of that will be. Now this particular pedal is one of those Gajite pedals made by LP. You can also use the ones made by Toka, Pearl. There's several different ones, and they work really well. So we'll go over the equipment here I'm going to use because I know I'll get lots of questions to save myself some time. All the bells are JCRs. Those of you who watch my videos know I love these bells. I used to go down there to the Bronx to visit Cali, and he had these before he passed. Obviously, he made them. Also, Barry at Drummer's World would have lots. So I have probably a dozen or so of these bells. It's kind of ridiculous they're going for so much money now. They should, because they're incredible. But back then, they were, 40, 50 bucks at the most. And by back then, I mean, the 90s, maybe early 2000s. I can't really remember. But anyway, the bells I have here, I have a couple cha-cha bells. So they're different pitches. And then I have some timbale bells. And then I have a salsa bell here, which is my low bell. So I like to have that on my left so I can do stuff like. Cymbal-wise, I'm using this pair of Sabian 13-inch hi-hats that I always use. You've seen before. Here I have some interesting cymbals. These are Sabian El Sabor, a 16 and an 18. These are great for timbales. I know they don't make them anymore, but you can find them used. I see them every once in a while. They have a great sound and a great bells. So. So these are really good cymbals for playing any kind of Afro-Cuban music. So here I have a small remix crash cymbal, kind of a splash. Here I have a Paiste 18. This is good for cymbal rolls. And here I have a Paiste Traditional flat ride. And on the bottom of that is my new favorite Chinese cymbal. It's a Masterwork 24-inch cymbal. I did a whole video on that one. I like using this flat ride. Sometimes we play a little bit lighter, and so I might ride on it almost like a palito pattern for timbales like this. So when I'm first teaching this, the thing that I'll do is I'll go to my book and I'll go to the Afro-Cuban section where I have the actual rhythms written out. So if you go to page 54 in the book, and I'll post some of this on the screen, you'll see the mambo rhythm here halfway down the page. Of course, on the CD that comes with it, I include all these rhythms so you can hear them. But the first thing you want to do is learn that first one so you can play the kescara with the right hand, and then the clave with the left hand like this. Then you want to add your bass drum, playing this little bombo note here. So. Okay, and just bear in mind you need to respect those slashes and the dots. The slashes mean the shaft, slightly accented like this. On a cowbell, that sounds like this. So that just adds color to your playing, phrasing, all right? And once you learn this, you at least have an idea of what it should feel like and sound like. And then I recommend playing with lots of recordings. Any record by Pancho Sanchez, the great conga player, is good. He pretty much made the same record 20 times. Very formulaic, you know. You have some 6/8 tunes on there, lots of mambos, cha-chas, things like that. Every once in a while there'll be a James Brown tune. So they're great playing, real tight rhythm section, nothing nothing over the top, nothing confusing. So those are great records to practice with. There's no drum set on there. So there's timbales, bongos, and conga for the rhythm section, for the drum section, I should say. So just play along with those and get the right feel, all right? So don't attempt to do left foot clave until you can do this, because you have to have the feel for it. Now today we're going to be dealing with the sun clave. That's the clave that I always teach first. There's two claves and two ways of interpreting them. So we'll put this on the screen here. It's from my book. It's a sun clave, rumba clave explanation. So quickly, the rumba clave is this. That's what my left hand's playing. And the sun clave is this. So you just have one beat difference, okay? It's that second bar from playing a 2/3 clave. It can either be on beat 4, okay, or on the and of 4, if you're thinking in 4/4. Lots of times this stuff is written in cut time. So just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That's the sun clave, and here's the rumba clave. And you can have 2/3, like I'm doing there, which means the 2 part is in the first measure, or cell, as they say in Cuba. Or you can have 3/2, which means the 3 beats are in the first measure and the 2 are in the second. And that's it. So today we'll keep it simple. I'll just do 2/3 sun clave. But bear in mind, all of these exercises could be done with every single clave. And I may do a part 2 of this where I show you rumba clave for everything. Now, rumba clave is always pretty much used when you're playing heavy jazz or guaguancó like this. So you see that anticipation there. But you can mix and match them. There's not a problem there. Okay? If you're playing something folkloric like Wan Wan Ko, though, you want to stick to that particular rumba clave. So once you learn these rhythms, we'll go to rhythm number 2 now on page 54, and we'll use the bell of the cymbal, all right? And we're going to play clave with the left foot, and the left hand is going to play the conga part. And we'll do these slowly for you, well, medium, I should say, at half note equals 110. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I switch from the cymbal bell to the cowbell there. And a lot of times in a tune, you'll play a palito pattern on the rim, and that sounds like this. And that would be for the verses. And then the chorus, you might go to the cowbell, and then the solos, you would go to the cymbal bell. And once again, I described a lot of this in my Afro-Cuban videos from my book that I did, all 6 of them, or something, about a year back. So you could look for the playlist for those. So once you learn this, and you get the feel, and you play with a bunch of music, then it's time to introduce your left foot playing other things over it. So the first thing I'll do, like I do for pretty much everything, is start working on some hand exercises. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's pretty quick. I'm doing it double time, but you would want to maybe start a little bit slower. But they're very effective for soloing that fast. And you can go through different groups of these hand exercises, a lot of them in here. Any hand exercise book will work. You can do Joe Morello's Master Studies. You can even do stick control. But something to get you playing different stickings besides singles over this. So once you do that, then I would go to things like Wilcoxon and Pratt and different, maybe Nard, easier things, and play rudimental solos over this. Now recently, I did a video where I showed you how to swing the Wilcoxon solo and play it over clave as well. So take a look at that, and I'm not going to go over that again here because my time is limited, but you want to take a look at that and do those rudimental etudes over the clave. That would be the next thing. Also, you can go to the rhythms, which we always use here on page 7 and 8 and 9 if you want. And we can play these as accents like we've done. So in other words, play 16ths, and now we'll be alternating, and play all the written rhythms as accents. So we'll do that at 110 as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's just 5 lines or so. And of course, you can do that fast if you need to. Now, you can also play that around the drums, play the different notes on the drums, the bells. Let's try that so you can see what that sounds like. We'll do it a little faster, maybe 115. And we'll do page 8, and I'll play all the accents on different surfaces while playing the 16ths on the snare. 1, 2, 3, 4. You get the idea. It's kind of like target practice. Probably best thing to do is memorize that and watch what you're playing. All right? So you can also do it with page 9. We'll play a little of that for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that gets more involved because you're playing more syncopation, more notes. Now the other thing you could do is play unisons, and these are great, and these are used a lot in Afro-Cuban music, in timbali soloing, all kinds of things in that respect. So you could play your hands together over the clave. Now this is hard because you're not anchored to anything. A lot of times there'll be no one. All right, we'll do this at the same tempo. We'll start out with page 7, which is actually harder because there's less notes, if that makes sense. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's the hardest one because, once again, there's so much space in there. But it's great for catching figures if you're reading a chart, you're catching band hits, because you got to keep that ostinato going down there, okay? Let's try the next page, a little of this, page 8. This will be a little bit easier. 1, 2, 3, 4. Kind of like to pretend I'm catching figures on different cymbals when I do that. All right, so those are really good, valid exercises for working on your technique, so when you have to read something, you can catch anything and keep that going. Now, the next step, obviously, is to start soloing over it. So you've already played rudimental etudes, you've already played the groove, you've done this kind of thing. So now we have to actually put it together into a solo. And of course, no book for this. You're just going to improvise. One thing I love to do is use timbali solos. Michael Spiro, close friend of mine, great guy, great player. He's got a wonderful book called Language of the Masters, where he transcribes several of the great timbali players' solos on there. So I would definitely check that out and try to play those over the clave. I have my students do that all the time. Maybe I'll do another video on that. I got to get Mike's permission. So I'll play a little of that kind of stuff for you, and I'll turn the snares off of this and use the snare drum as a timbali. We'll do a little quicker here. So that's a really fun way to practice this stuff. Just playing solos, grooves, all kinds of things, and try to keep it going. And you do that with all the claves, you know, 2/3, 3/2, rumba, and soon. So I hope that helps get you started. We'll probably do a part 2 of this where I do kind of everything with the rumba clave and then soloing with the bass drum as well. That's the real difficult stuff. Before we go today, one last thing, and we've talked about this, splashing the hi-hat. Once you get that clave, you can actually splash the hi-hat like this. So. So as you see there, I'm using a heel-toe motion. And if you do that on the clave, your results may vary, but you can get some nice, you know, double kind of effects. So that's pretty cool too. So by doing that splash hi-hat pattern on the clave, you can actually get double notes with that. And we'll try to cover that a little more in the next video. So hopefully the camera's still running, and we'll play a little, and we'll call it a day.